Hello, my name is Holly McEntee, and I am pleased to tell you about the use of live animals in the research setting. It goes without saying that the use of animals in research and testing is a socially sensitive issue and raises strong emotions on all sides. I am not going to get into the details and arguments at this time, but some resources will be included for you at the end. My statements today are based on the premise that there are circumstances under which live vertebrate animals are appropriate models for research and testing. If you find that you wish to utilize an animal model, there are some very important things you need to know. The use of animals is highly regulated and the oversight is very strict. I will review the relevant laws and regulations that govern the use of animals in research, some of the non-regulatory oversight related to animal use, consequences of violating those obligations, and how these will relate to you here at the University of Wisconsin-Madison if you choose to use animals. I will be using a number of acronyms to refer to various laws and agencies. I will define them, and I will try not to talk too quickly. A list of terms and definitions will be provided at the end to help you remember them. The Animal Welfare Act and regulations became federal law through an act of Congress in 1966. This is the strongest and broadest American law regarding the use of animals in research, as well as in zoos, circuses, and commercial animal dealers. Specific to research, the Animal Welfare Act describes several requirements that research institutions must fulfill in order to use animals. All warm-blooded vertebrate animals, except laboratory mice and rats and agricultural species used for agricultural research, are covered by the Animal Welfare Act. First and foremost, an institution must be registered with the United States Department of Agriculture Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service as a research institution. The University of Wisconsin-Madison holds such a registration as a single entity. That means everyone at the university, regardless of school or college, student or faculty, is required by law to abide by the Animal Welfare Act. Second, the Animal Welfare Act requires each registered institution to establish an Institutional Animal and Care and Use Committee, or IACUC. This committee is responsible for overseeing all aspects of animal work at the institution, from the very first planning stages of an experiment through the final euthanasia of the animal itself. Oversight of the animal program by the IACUC involves inspection of animal facilities, investigation of potential misconduct, and the review, approval, and ongoing evaluation of experiments that use animals. The second set of regulations that govern the use of animals in research is the Public Health Service Policy for the Humane Care and Use of Laboratory Animals, also known as the PHS Policy. While not a federal law, the Office of Laboratory Animal Welfare, OLA, of the United States Department of Health and Human Services set forth this policy in 1985 to apply to any institution that seeks funding from the National Institutes of Health for research with animals. In order to be eligible for NIH funds, an institution must hold an assurance through OLA. The assurance is basically a contract that states that the institution will comply with the PHS policy. All living vertebrate animals, both warm and cold-blooded, are covered by the PHS policy. Now, the PHS policy and the Animal Welfare Act regulations are very similar in scope. However, there are some differences between the two sets of rules, such as which animals are covered. Because UW-Madison is both registered with the USDA, as per the Animal Welfare Act, and holds an assurance through OLA, our campus follows whichever of the two laws are stricter. So, for example, all vertebrate animals are treated equally on our campus. In this way, we ensure that we meet or exceed all of the regulatory requirements regardless of whichever law is relevant. In addition to the regulations, there are other ways in which the use of animals is monitored. One of the best-known monitoring organizations is an international nonprofit accrediting body known as ALAC, the Association for the Assessment and Accreditation of Laboratory Animal Care. ALAC evaluates how institutions care for the research animals and the research animal program, and awards certifications that must be maintained and renewed. ALAC is somewhat like the Better Business Bureau in this way. ALAC standards go far beyond the Animal Welfare Act and the PHS policy and examine the institution's internal structure, staffing, and systems and processes that make up an institutional animal care and use program. When an institution gains ALAC accreditation, it increases the institution's standing among its peer research institutions. In addition, certain non-government funding agencies will only give grants to ALAC accredited institutions. The UW-Madison Animal Care Program is ALAC accredited. Another way research animal use is monitored is by the people involved in the daily care of the animals. These include veterinarians and veterinary technicians with specialized training in laboratory animal medicine, the animal care technicians who are responsible for providing food, water, clean cages, and safe environments to the animals, and the faculty and scientists and students who use the animals in their studies. Each of us has an inherent stewardship responsibility to the animals we choose to use in this way. Every single mouse, every single dairy cow, and every single monkey. We have an obligation to provide them with the best care possible. Not only is this an ethical obligation, but a practical one. Only healthy animals produce quality research results that in turn lead to medical breakthroughs and progress. UW-Madison employs hundreds of professional staff dedicated to the health and welfare of the animals used for research, teaching, and outreach activities. As with all regulations, there are consequences when one violates the law and the standards we set as an institution for ourselves. The USDA can impose fines of up to $10,000 per violation of the Animal Welfare Act and has the ability to file criminal charges against individual scientists. OLAW can require institutions to return or reimburse grant monies if the PHS policy is violated. Both the USDA and OLAW can revoke an institution's registration or assurance, cutting off a significant source of research funding. UW-Madison was awarded over $70 million for animal-based research in 2006 and 2007, so you can see that the impact of that loss would be very damaging. Worse than the monetary damages is the sheer national embarrassment that an institution suffers when violations occur. Press coverage of an institution that's been fined by the USDA is hugely damaging to that institution's reputation and self-image. Top faculty, scientists, and students avoid going to troubled institutions, leading to a downward spiral in educational equality. Research results that come out of institutions can be seen as untrustworthy. Many scientific journals refuse to publish research results that were obtained in violation of animal care regulations. This is a double whammy because the animals used for that study were used in vain. They were wasted because the research results can't be published. In my opinion, these consequences are far more harmful than monetary penalties because the institution and the individuals involved must live with the knowledge that they failed in their stewardship role to those animals whose lives were given in the pursuit of the greater good. So now, what exactly is my role in all of this? I am the IACUC administrator for the UW-Madison campus. I and my staff ensure that the UW-Madison IACUCs, and there are 6, fulfill the regulatory responsibilities of the Animal Welfare Act and the PHS policy, as well as the expectations of ALAC, national veterinary standards, and our institutional peers. One of those responsibilities is the review, approval, and ongoing oversight of animal activities as described in an animal care and use protocol. When a scientist, also known as a principal investigator or a PI, decides to use live animals in a study, they must first complete an extensive application known as an animal care and use protocol, or protocol. In the protocol, the PI must describe in detail their experimental plan and explain how the experiment is important to the advancement of human and animal health. The PI must justify why live animals and not a non-animal model like a computer program must be used. The PI must explain how they will clinically monitor pain and distress in the animals they use, how they will treat any pain or distress that results, and how they will humanely euthanize the animal if the need arrives. Details on the provision of a physically and psychologically healthy environment is required, as well as detailed descriptions of pre- and post-surgical monitoring. The protocol is then submitted to one of the campus IACUCs for intense review. Over 98% of the time, the IACUC requires the PI to provide more information after the initial review, sometimes through several rounds of review and consultation with the veterinary staff. Only after the IACUC issues approval of the protocol may the study begin. Each year, the PI must submit annual updates of each protocol, and every 3 years, each protocol must be reviewed and approved anew. And during the study, if the PI wishes to change some aspect of the study, such as administer a different painkiller or pursue a new direction of inquiry, they must first amend the animal protocol and obtain IACUC approval to do so. Performing work with or on an animal without IACUC approval is one of the most serious violations of the Animal Welfare Act and PHS policy. Therefore, the very most important question for you to ask yourself before getting involved with a project that involves a live animal is this: is there a protocol to cover this work? The lead scientist of the project, and undergraduate students are not allowed to be the PI on a protocol, will know the answer to this question. If the answer is no or I don't know, stop immediately and seek consultation. The Campus Research Animal Resources Center, or RARC, where I work, can give you all of the guidance you need regarding animal use and research at UW-Madison. If the answer is yes, ask to see the protocol. Read it and familiarize yourself with it. Remember, only those procedures that are approved in that protocol may be conducted in good faith, that they are legal and ethical. In summary, animal models have contributed to medical progress in countless ways, not only in human medicine, but in veterinary medicine and basic research as well. There is strong public support for the ethical and humane use of animals in the research setting. As a top educational institution, UW-Madison is committed to giving its students every opportunity to experience the richness of all aspects of research in compliance with the regulatory requirements. Being aware of the ethical and regulatory responsibilities of animal-based research is critical to you as scientists in training and as citizens of our world. If you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to contact any of us at RARC. We are here to support you. In closing, I'd like to thank the animals under our care. I'd like to thank you for your attention, and I wish you luck in your studies.